All right, you've definitely seen it all over your social media feed, right? That bright, vibrant green juice that everyone's calling a miracle cure? Yep, we're talking about celery juice. But what's the real story behind this whole wellness craze? Is it actually a game changer for your health, or is it just really well-marketed vegetable water? Well, today we're going to separate the hype from the reality.
I mean, from A-list celebrities to your favorite wellness influencers, it feels like this has become the ultimate morning ritual. But what's really driving this massive trend isn't just its pretty green color. It's the incredible list of health claims that people are making about it.
And look, the claims are pretty extraordinary. We're talking about things like promoting weight loss, detoxing your entire body, slashing inflammation, healing your gut. Some people even say it can cure chronic diseases. I mean, with promises like that, you can totally see why it's so appealing, right? But to get to the truth, we've got to look past all that hype and dig into the actual science.
So let's do just that. Let's break down what's really inside this vegetable. Because, to see if any of these big claims hold water, we have to start with the basics. What is celery actually made of?
And wow, okay, right off the bat, the science is actually pretty impressive. Get this. Researchers have found over 25 different anti-inflammatory compounds just hanging out in celery. I mean, that number alone kind of suggests there might be some real fire behind all this smoke, you know? This is definitely not just crunchy water. It's packed with these things called bioactive compounds.
So let's meet a few of the star players here. You've got apigenin and luteolin. These are powerful antioxidants, and their whole job is to fight inflammation. Then there's this really unique compound called 3N-butylphthalide. And yeah, let's just call it MBP for short, which is what's known as a vasodilator. All that means is that it helps relax the walls of your arteries, and that's a huge reason scientists are so interested in celery for its potential effects on blood pressure.
Okay, but let's zoom out and get the big picture. A celery stalk is overwhelmingly water, like 95% water. So yeah, it's super hydrating. But that other 5%, that's where all the magic happens. It's this mix of really good fiber, key vitamins and minerals, and this tiny but mighty 1% of phytonutrients. And those are just the natural protective compounds in plants, including the ones we just talked about.
So, the big takeaway from all this is that celery is not just crunchy water. It's got this whole cocktail of natural compounds that have real, recognized antioxidant and anti-inflammatory powers. And that is why it's a totally legitimate thing for scientists to be studying, especially when it comes to stuff like heart health.
Okay, so the chemistry looks really promising, right? But here's the thing. Having potential in a lab and actually proving it works in the human body, well, those are two very different things. So, what does the research actually say? Let's find out where the promise meets the proof.
So, a lot of the initial buzz, a lot of the hype, it comes from animal studies, just like this one. In a study on rats with high cholesterol, scientists found that feeding them celery extract actually lowered their cholesterol and improved their liver health. Now that is exactly the kind of result that gets people excited and kicks off a massive wellness trend. It shows a clear positive effect in a lab. But what happens when you move from rats to humans?
And here's where we hit that classic gap between promise and proof. In the animal and lab studies, the results are fantastic, right? We're seeing reduced inflammation, even suppressed arthritis in mice. But then, when we look at an actual human clinical trial, in this case they gave celery powder to adults with type 2 diabetes for 12 weeks, the results were, well, there was no significant improvement in their blood sugar, their lipids, or their blood pressure. A big difference.
And this right here is why we always have to be a little cautious. An exciting result in an animal study is just step one. It absolutely does not guarantee we'll see the same thing in our incredibly complex human bodies. So for now, the hard evidence in humans is just a lot weaker than all the hype would have you believe.
But listen, it's not just about benefits that might not be proven. Even the healthiest foods can have some downsides, and it's always important to get a balanced view. So what are the potential things to watch out for with celery juice?
Okay, this first one might actually surprise you, especially for something that's supposed to be a health drink. We're talking about salt.
Yep, a single 8-ounce cup of celery juice packs about 189 milligrams of sodium. Now, I know what you're thinking, 189 milligrams doesn't sound like a huge number by itself, but it's all about how it fits into the rest of your day.
So, to put that in perspective, the daily recommended limit for most adults is around 2,300 milligrams. So yeah, 1 cup is just a piece of that, but it's not nothing. And if you're someone who's drinking a couple of these a day, or maybe you're just sensitive to salt, that sodium can add up really fast and could contribute to higher blood pressure over time.
It's just something to be aware of. And it's not just the sodium. There are a few other things to think about. Celery has something called mannitol. It's a sugar alcohol, and for some people it can cause, well, digestive issues like bloating and diarrhea. Also, it's high in vitamin K. That's normally a good thing, but it can actually interfere with certain blood thinners like warfarin. Then there are these compounds called psoralins, which can make your skin more sensitive to UV light, so more prone to sunburn. And finally, of course, just like any food, some people are just allergic to celery.
Okay, so after looking at the science, the actual evidence, and the potential downsides, what's the final verdict? Should you be jumping on the celery juice train, or is it better to just stay at the station?
All right, first things first, let's just bust the biggest myth right now, the whole detox thing. This idea that you can drink a juice to cleanse your body, it's just not backed by science. Look, your body already has an incredible, super efficient detox system built right in. It's called your liver and your kidneys. They are the experts, and there is zero evidence that any juice can do their job for them, period.
And that brings us to a really, really important point. The difference between juicing celery and just eating it. See, when you juice it, sure, you're getting a concentrated dose of some nutrients, but you're also stripping out almost all of that amazing fiber. And that fiber is so important. It's what helps you feel full, it supports your digestion, and it acts as food for all the good bacteria in your gut. Take that away, and you might actually feel hungrier after you drink the juice.
So here's the bottom line. Celery is a fantastic vegetable, no doubt about it. It's hydrating, it's nutritious, and it has some genuinely cool compounds in it. But it is not a miracle cure-all. And if you want to get all of its amazing benefits, eating the whole stalk is pretty much always going to be your best bet.
Which really leaves us with one last question to think about, right? Is celery a superfood with some kind of magical powers, or is it just a superfood? You know, a really healthy, beneficial part of an overall balanced diet? I think, based on all the evidence we've looked at, the answer is pretty clear.